Hey, so somebody walked in the office the other day and they were in their 50s and they hadn't started planning for retirement yet. So they were looking at how do they start? What does it look like? And they had a low savings. They were just starting off kind of low.
Wow.
So what kind of advice would you give to somebody like that when they walk in the door?
Wow. So, the first thing I would say is that doesn't make you special. I see it a lot. Life. I don't know this person. I don't know how much you do about them, but I would immediately, and you don't want to assume things in life, but I'm going to immediately assume they probably have kids and they've been focusing on their children and other things like that. And now they wake up and they're 50 years old and they're like, man, the job doesn't feel like it is. They got a new supervisor last week and they don't like her at all. And her name wasn't even Karen. And no offense to the Karens out there, but I mean, literally something happened, something changed at work and these pressures happen. And they're like, man, hey, I don't want to do this forever. What are we gonna, maybe they love their job and they don't want to quit, but they just like, I haven't really done much. So, yeah. So I think number one, and this is just out of my head, I would want to address where am I at? And you say, well, I know where I'm at. I hadn't saved anything for retirement. No, that's not what I'm talking about. We got to get real. You got to sit down with a certified financial planner and let's put it all on paper. I do, there's so many AI tools now. I love AI. I've actually got it pulled up with some ideas on it. We'll see what it says in a minute. But there's so many tools available, but nothing beats pen and paper when it comes to this. You sit down and let's list out all of our expenses, all of our debts. Let's figure out where we're going. One of the things I ask people all the time is, when you talk about like how much they're going to need to spend in retirement, well, we got to get you there. But people go, I don't know. I say, well, how much are you currently saving? They say, what do you mean? Tell me what your brain home check is. How much do you brain home? Mark, I brain home $4,000. Okay. That's your $2,000 every 2 weeks. Yep, $2,000. That's exactly what it is. All right. And how much of that $4,000 do you save? Well, for the last year, we were able to put $4,000 in savings. Okay. You're spending $3,600 a month. Let's be real clear about this.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here.
Sure.
So, but when you have saved nothing for retirement or not much, and you're not saving like you want to, we have to look at this differently. We have to look and get a spending plan built. I hate to think of this word budget, but that's what you need, but I don't like the word, so we're going to call it a spending plan. So we have to assess our current financial situation. Let's list everything. Where does the money go? And again, I've been a Dave Ramsey guy forever, but I don't need you keeping receipts and all that kind of stuff. Let's just look at where the money is going. We know what we got coming in. Okay, where's it going? So let's look at the grocery bills, let's look at the rent, let's look at the mortgage, let's look at credit card expenses. If there's any student debt left or anything, let's take a look at the entire thing. And then we got to get to the chopping block.
Yep.
We have to see where the money's going. Do we really need 12 streaming services? Okay,
I don't know. I gotta watch my show, Mark. I gotta watch my show.
I get it. They're only $19.95, but when we got to figure out where this money's going, we got to figure out how we can find some. Yeah. For some people, it's going to be a combination of cutting, of doing things differently, meal prepping, doing things differently. I remember, and I've had to do this in my own life many times. But I remember we did this thing with the kids, the dinner challenge, and so I have 3 children. And we taught the kids. I had to help Seth because he was too young to do it by himself. Maybe he was 6 or 7 at the time we did this. Yeah. But my oldest son, Hunter, was the oldest. Amy was the middle. And, of course, my wife, Terry, of 31 years. But we did this challenge where we would rank each other on the quality of the food that was prepared, on what it cost, all these different categories. Oh, cool. And so we all had a night that we had to cook. And how cheap you could do it was one of the categories you got points for.
Sure.
I remember one time my son was in wrestling and it was his night to cook. And he called in a panic because he said, I'm not going to be able to do this. I have wrestling. You don't get out of your challenge.
Sure.
You have to learn to do these things, right? It's a good life skill.
Sure.
You had to stay late at work. Kids are still going to want to eat when you get home. I still wanted to eat. And I remember he went to Harris Teeter's and bought subs. and was able to feed us all for like $28. And, said, this is as good as I could do.
Hey.
He came home from wrestling with subs and chips. Okay. But he did it. So we had these competitions. So the idea is you can take a look at where the money's going and get your family involved if there is one involved. And let's figure out and tell them what we want to do. Nothing's wrong. Don't tell the kids you're going bankrupt. That's not what's happening. Say, we want to make this a competition, especially with children. It works so well because guess what? At some point in life, they're going to find themselves in a similar position to you, and they're going to have to do this. They're going to I remember when mom and dad did this, and we can figure this out because life happens. And so we need to figure it out. So where's the money going? I would start there. Now, let's talk about a retirement goal. When do we want to retire? Okay, well, we got nothing saved. Okay, so let's talk about, well, I wanted to retire at 60 and I'm 50. I don't know if I can do this in 10 years. Well, once we know how much we can save, we can start to build out how long it's going to take using proper tools. But I think we want to go ahead and put a date, something you could look forward to. And let's say you say, okay, I'm going to do 65. All right, so that gives us 15 years in this example. Okay, what do we want retirement to look like? That would be the next place. What do we want retirement to look like?
Sure.
Well, Mark, I want to be able to bring this much from Social Security. Not so fast. I think it's going to be there, but we're not positive right now. I'd want to be careful with that one because you can't count on it. Let's see how much we can get that we can pay ourselves and then have Social Security be the extra.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's the grandkid money.
Yeah, let's start building backwards into it now. We know how long our savings idea is. Now is where we're really going to have to take a look at this. And this is where we're going to have to talk about how we're going to save this money. And you say, how? Well, yeah, I'm going to save it through work and other things. No. There's different ways to do this. We can take advantage of things like catch-up contributions, not ketchup in the bottle, but catch-up contributions at work, in your 401 if they offer one and stuff. But we got to be careful. If we save all your money the next 15 years in a 401, 403, the plethora of alphabet soup accounts, and we hit the number and it's not about a number, but we hit the number that we believe can generate the income you need in retirement. Income in retirement, because that's what we have to have.
Sure.
Well, what about taxes?
Yeah.
See, we could hit the number we think we need to generate the income you need, but that won't be your income, and I'm going to have a crystal ball for something that I can't predict. Tell me what taxation is going to look like in 15 years.
It'd be tough.
So we're going to have to really look at, should we be saving some of this in your Roth 401 that might be available at your work?
Yep.
And what's the mix going to be on this? How much of this needs to be saved in your emergency fund that doesn't make you a lot, but at least it's there for emergency money?
Yep.
We have to talk about how we're going to save it. So not just where the money's going to come from. We did that by figuring out where the money's going, what could be cut, and now getting us to a place where we need it. For some people, it's going to be taking on part-time work. And there's tons of ways to do that.
Sure.
Let me tell you, do not be so proud that you're not willing to go deliver and do the Uber Eats and the other things that are necessary sometimes in life. Do whatever you got to do because the goal is you got to get there. Okay, so now we're going to look at aggressively funding these things, considering catch-ups and stuff. Now we have to look at this thing, and this is one that's really big for me. Invest wisely. You say, "Oh no, I understand. I got to be aggressive." Nah, hold on a second. A lot of times when people find they haven't saved enough for retirement, they want to really go aggressive. I'm not saying it doesn't have a place for it. So for instance, if we were saving in the 401 and a Roth, I might say, okay, let's take the Roth and make that very aggressive because I believe taxes will continue to grow up through your lifetime. So I would have the Roth be the account we won't use for maybe 35 years, 30 years. And the 401 is the one we're going to use at 65 to start spending, believing that taxes will be lower when you're 65 than they will when you're 80.
Just take.
And I would want to have the Roth account that you would owe no tax on. So I'd have plenty of timeline, plenty of horizon on the Roth to suffer through the ups and downs of the markets for 5 or 6 market cycles before we'd want to move it to something more conservative. But don't just assume you need to be aggressive because you need to make so much. Because here's what happens with that way of thinking. You see your account go from, you say it worked so hard, you finally got 50,000 in it, you see it drop to 30, or 25 and you go, I can't do this anymore. I worked too hard to get it. And then you cancel it and you stop and you change. Can't let that happen. We have to be very careful with how we invest this. And then we have to look, as I said, we have to make sure we're talking about, wrapping this up is a spending plan. Where is the money going first? Make sure we get rid of any high interest debt. So you're 50, you haven't saved for retirement, but you've got credit card balances. It's not time to save for retirement. Mark, I have to. No, you got to get rid of these credit card balances first.
The debt would just drown.
Think about this. We're going to go try to save money and make 8-9% in the market potentially, and we're paying 25% on a credit card. Yep. I'm sorry, I'm kind of good at math. That doesn't make sense. So we have to really put this together in a way that you can do it. But let me tell you the last final tips here. You're not alone. There's many other people that are in the same situation. Do something called loud budgeting, loud spending plan. Tell others what you're trying to accomplish so they understand why you're not going to dinner with them on Friday night. Because you're doing something special. You're going to get there. Join a group. There's many online groups where people are in a similar situation and you can challenge each other to cut the spending plan, to save more, to do more. And people find, again, sometimes in groups that helps. Look at somebody that has accomplished this. Talk to one of your coworkers that is doing fabulous and say, look, I need help. It's okay to ask for help. And something you have to do. This is a requirement. You made it this far in this video, hit the like and subscribe button. Come on, you know you like us. Go ahead and hit it. And I want you to comment and ask questions. We will respond to them. Tell me what you thought about this video. But listen to this. Confidence is the key. Yes, you're getting a late start, but you can achieve a good retirement. It can happen. And the best time to get started was yesterday. If not yesterday, let's get started today.